Hey guys, today is Saturday, April 29th at 11:30 a.m. and we're going to head to the gym soon. I think we might squat, bench, and deadlift, so we'll see how that goes. Maybe I'll split that up into like different videos and do little segments of each one. I don't know, but today I'm going to be telling you guys a little bit about my squat stuff, so we'll get into that once I'm in the gym, probably do a nice little voiceover. But I wanted to show you guys my outfit because I always get questions, so I thought we would just film that now because why not? This top has a coffee stain on it, but this is from Amazon. So I'll have it linked down below. I have this in white and black. I want to get a couple other colors because this is like my favorite tops that I have because they're cropped and it's just a basic crisscross in the back. I actually wore the black version of this to the rave. This sports bra is from Forever 21. They don't sell this color combination anymore, but they do still have some similar ones. And then I always wear Nike Pro shorts. A lot of people ask me what shorts I wear to the gym, so I always wear just the classic. So I thought we'd switch things up and talk a little bit before we even head to the gym. Got my Monster. If you're not aware, this is my new favorite flavor. We will eventually go and find the purple one, maybe next weekend. I already have these, so I was like, I don't want to drive that way. It's the opposite direction to get to the 7-Eleven, so it just doesn't even make sense. This is really good. This is the Pipeline Punch. A lot of people are always like, isn't Monster bad for you? Yeah, pretty sure it is, but I have it like maybe 3 times a week, and it's better to have this than a bunch of other crap, so you gotta, you know, pick what you care about, what you don't care about, and I don't care about drinking Monster, so I just do it. But I wanted to talk a little about squats. So I get a lot of questions on squats, probably because I only just started benching and I haven't been deadlifting that long, and deadlifts, I picked that up so quickly, but with squats, that's something where like right off the bat, I got the form pretty well, but it's never been like an amazing movement for me. It's been my best lift because it was the only lift I did for a really long time, so I could focus on it, but it was never like perfect, and it's still not perfect now. I still have some things to work on, but I think I've progressed a lot in a pretty short period of time, not only with like numbers, because my numbers aren't anything crazy. 185 pounds, and I'm like 130, 133 pounds right now. My weight fluctuates, but it's like that's not anything crazy. I would like to hit a 200 squat eventually. That would be great, but my progress has been like a normal steady rate with plateaus here and there, dependent mostly upon like when I thought I was eating enough food but I wasn't eating enough food, so my lifts were obviously suffering. It's hard to build strength and size when you aren't eating enough because you're just so fatigued all the time. So the first thing to basically perfecting your squat is going to be checking your form. So whether you are teaching yourself or you have someone teaching you, it's always a good idea to make sure that the form is correct. Now you're going to tweak your form over time and your leverages may change, so you're probably going to switch up your squat. Like some people used to squat super wide and now they squat very like narrow stance. Like I don't know if you guys follow, her name is Marissa on Instagram. She's super strong. I'll have her handle or something on the screen so you guys can check her out. But her squat, she used to have a normal stance and now she squats super narrow. So it's going to depend and it's going to change over time, but making sure that your form is on point is always a good idea. Number one thing is just make sure the bar path is straight. So film yourself or ask someone to watch you squat and ask them to check the bar. The bar should go up and down. It should not like go back and go forward and do all this weird zigzaggy shit. It should just be a straight bar path. So if you don't have a straight bar path, there's something wrong with your form. So I always say that's the first thing that you should look at. The second thing, if your squat feels weird, feels shaky, check how far apart your feet are. You may need to point them out more. You may need to point them forward more. This is going to depend on you, and it's also going to depend on whether or not you're more quad dominant or glute and hamstring dominant, just because of the way that your body is going to squat. It's going to feel a little different. So you may be more comfortable doing a narrow stance, whereas I'm more comfortable doing a wider stance with my toes pointed super outwards. So check that. Another thing is going to be your hand placement. So if you're low bar squatting, your hands are probably going to be pretty close to your body so that you can create a shelf. And if you're high bar squatting, they're going to be farther apart. So it's going to depend on you whether or not they're super wide or they're closer in. It's going to depend on how long your arms are. It's going to depend on your back width. It's going to depend on a lot of different factors. So just mess with that and just make sure that you feel stable the second you put the bar on your back before you even walk out. So those are like the top things that I always say to make sure are on point before you like start adding weight, because if your form's wrong, it's going to be really hard to progress because you're not doing the lift correctly. So the next thing that you're going to focus on is going to be your programming and your frequency. So this is going to depend on your goals and how much time you have. So when I first started squatting, I squatted once a week, and then I upped it to twice a week, probably like 5 months after squatting, and I only just upped my frequency to consistently doing 3 times a week, probably like a month or 2 ago. So I squat frequently because number 1, I love squatting, and number 2, I want to get better at it. So usually the more that you're going to do a movement, the more likely you are to get better at it quickly. And I mean, that only makes sense because the more that you do something, hopefully practice makes perfect, you're slowly getting better with it over time. So there's so many different programs, and what you choose to do, like I said, it's going to depend on you and your goals. If you're just like a beginner in the gym and you just want like something easy to pick up, I say just get used to squatting first. I would just stay in your hypertrophy phase so that you can focus on getting the movement down. The more times you do something, the better you're going to get at it, not only with frequency, but also with your rep range. So your typical rep range for hypertrophy is going to be 8 to 12 reps. Power is going to be 1 to 2 reps, and then like that range in between is going to be strength. So I stay in that nice range in between, which for me is usually like 1 to 6 reps. You'll probably never see me doing any more of that with heavy weight unless I'm warming up. So right now I'm following the 5x5, which is 5 sets of 5 reps. That's a great program. It's perfect for beginners. A lot of people recommend it. It doesn't require you to squat 3 times a week or anything like that. You can just do that once a week and you're slowly adding weight. So as a beginner, progressive overload is really, really important. As you become more of an intermediate advanced lifter, it's gonna take more time to put on more weight. You can't just go up 5 pounds every single week anymore. So those newbie gains, I highly recommend just like get in a program and working with it, because you'll make more progress than I did when I first started working out. Because when I first started squatting, I was just doing whatever. I had no idea what I was doing. Now I kind of just program myself sometimes, but that's only because I squat 3 times a week. So like on Mondays, that's my day where I work pretty high up to a max. I usually stay in between the 85 to 90, maybe 95% range, or I go for a new max, but I rarely ever go for a new max. Maybe like once a month I'll try and max out if my body even lets me. It's pretty hard to max out once you're more of like in the from beginner to intermediate. Like I think I'm basically in the intermediate range now because of my numbers, how often I lift, and how slowly I progress now. It's pretty obvious that I'm no longer in like the newbie phase. So take advantage of that. Find a good program. The 531 program is great as well. It's a little more advanced though. So I would start with something a little more basic, but you guys can check it out and decide whether or not you think you can do it. Make sure you do take 90% of your max though. Don't do 100% because you'll be struggling once you get to week 3. I know from experience. It's not a good time. And frequency, like I said, the more you do something, the easier it's going to become. So if you suck at squats, I recommend squatting pretty often. So when you're first starting out, I think 1 to 2 times a week is great. You can honestly squat up to 4 times a week. without putting too much pressure and load on your body. Whereas like with deadlifts, most people will deadlift 1 to 2 times a week, no more, especially if you're doing conventional, just because of the load and the stress that's put on your lower back. It's really just not healthy to do it any more frequent than that. So the last thing is going to be patience. So it's going to take time to build up your squat, to build up your numbers. Just like everything else, strength, I think, is more motivating than like bodybuilding style training, just because it takes so long to build muscle and see results. So if that's all that you focus on, it's really hard to stay motivated. And I'm someone who's like personally like self-motivated. I've never really had much trouble being motivated because I find things that I enjoy, and I'm just like a very like persistent person. Like I will not stop until I get something that I want, in the best way possible. So while I was doing bodybuilding style training, it's fun at first, but it gets boring. Like I don't do that much like bodybuilding style hypertrophy training anymore. I still do a little bit, but for specific muscle groups. Like you'll see me hitting my quads and my hamstrings. You'll never see me train my glutes. I hit my shoulders, I occasionally hit my biceps, and I hit my triceps and my back. So there's like certain muscle groups that I want to grow, and then there's certain muscle groups where I'm like, we're good, fam. Like my butt, we're good, fam. We're fine. We do not need to train my glutes. They get enough from all of the compound movements that I'm doing. I just don't need to isolate them. So that's going to be different for everyone, but it's just like, that's not really motivating because it takes so long to see progress. And you're going to see progress at first like crazy. You're going to think you put on like 5 pounds of muscle, when in reality you probably put on maybe like a fourth of an ounce of muscle. Like you really aren't putting on that much, but you look so different to yourself because you started lifting and you're actually making like those newbie gains. But after a while, those newbie gains are no more, and it's hard to stay motivated when all you're doing is like bicep curls. I mean, it's different for everyone, but for me personally, like if you've ever felt like you're not like motivated in the gym, try some strength stuff, because there's nothing more motivating and like ego boosting than being able to lift really, really heavy shit off the ground. For myself personally, that's what keeps me going. It's great. I feel better about myself. I feel strong. I've never felt strong before I started lifting. I did cheerleading. I was like, all right, like I'm agile, like I can tumble, that's awesome. But like I couldn't carry anything. Like you'll never see me take more than 1 trip from the car with my groceries because I don't have to. And it's just a great feeling. Like every time I like take my groceries out of the car, I'm like, damn, I am my own person. You know, it's just great. So I'm gonna end the video here. That's my lunch. I hope you guys learned something about squats today, maybe. Maybe not, I don't know. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you on my next one. I love you. Bye.
You ready? Girls these days. Girls these days.